Hello, welcome to another episode of Drinking with Comics. My name is Sean.
And I am Mike the third. Or wait a minute, how many mics have you had on the show?
You're the only Mike. No
Aw.
offense to Mr. Wallman. Um, what are we drinking tonight, Mike?
This is your homebrew, ain't it?
Oh, that's true. That's true. So this is a vanilla cream ale from Black Horse in Clarksville, Tennessee. And Black Horse is a great restaurant and brewery. Uh,
Hmm.
Eaten and drank there many times.
I
If
do
there's
love their pizza, which is weird for a Tennessee
Yeah,
place. Yeah.
if there's one drawback to the place, it's that even on a Tuesday, you tend to have to wait like 40 minutes to fucking sit down and eat. Not always, but
Yeah. Oh, that's good.
it is.
Just as good as I remembered it.
There's a cream ale that some friends of mine drink in Ohio. I think it's like Genesee or something like that. That was maybe the first time I'd had it, that kind of beer. And, I guess you kind of picture, like when I hear cream ale, vanilla cream ale, especially, I picture something has more of a body, like Boddington's maybe. But this is, it's effervescent and it's a little thicker, but it's not. The creamy is not exactly what you would think of, but it's very good. It's very good beer.
I think cream, I think like a Guinness or something like that, because that's creamy. This is
Exactly,
just a beer.
exactly. But it's a good brewery. It's a good beer. 4.8% alcohol. Uh, Light-bodied American style cream ale, brewed with Vienna malt, American two-row barley, and natural vanilla bean. I am a big fan of vanilla bean. I'm a big fan of vanilla. I like vanilla ice cream. It's one of my favorite ice creams, especially vanilla
I
bean.
agree.
It's good. And, people use vanilla to as kind of like a adjective about things that are plain, it's, so vanilla or whatever. But I actually think vanilla, if you stop and really appreciate the flavor, I think it's more complex than a lot of people, kind of
A-
think that it is. So
Apparently, I want to say it's even harder to harvest than chocolate. So it's more exotic than chocolate is.
that's interesting.
Yeah, so even when you go like, oh, that's just vanilla, like, well, yeah, because it's fancy.
Yeah, that's a good way to look at it. I like that.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, I'll take vanilla ice cream almost any day over chocolate
yeah. You know
if
what's
I'm
great
faced
about
with
vanilla
the
ice
two.
cream? It goes well with everything.
Yeah,
Slice of pie, piece of cake, cookies.
yeah, that's very true. You're making me
Perfect.
fucking hungry for
Yes,
dessert. Damn.
I know. Now I'm hungry for. Well, let's just enjoy this beer first.
Mm.
Join
Yeah.
us next week for cookies and comics.
Mm. Viewers, if you're ever down this way, first of all, give me a shout out. If you're ever down this way, give me a holler. But also, Black Horse is definitely worth a stop.
Yeah,
So,
I look forward to going back there again.
look forward to having you.
Yes.
So, we're going to talk about today a book that I started reading when it was first coming out. I don't know what year that was,
15.
2016, 15, 16.
2015.
Um, and I made it as far as the Pax Americana issue, which I think is like the fourth issue. And then I just basically stopped. Not because, I mean, I feel like I had definitely kind of reached a certain limit without, of like my fan inertia with Grant Morrison, and it just wasn't doing it. But also, I think there was just a lot of like flux in my life at the time. And so it just, whatever, I just wasn't reading it. But Mike, you gave me this wonderful trade paperback, which I mentioned I'm probably going to give back to you to give to somebody that will appreciate it because rereading this, I hate this book. I mean, like it's not a bad book, mind you,
Yes.
but it is not for me. Like this is just exhausting. So talk about Multiversity by Grant Morrison and a ton of artists.
I'm really enjoying the hell out of this book. first of all, and I'm going to tell you why you need to finish this book at the end.
Okay.
But I really enjoyed this is to me this seems to be like his last hurrah. Like
With
Grant
DC,
Morrison
yes.
hasn't, yeah, but even still, like on this level of like
Mm-hmm.
complexity and weirdness going on
Mm-hmm.
and heaviness and going on. And then mind you, like if the plan still goes say we're only talking about the first 4 chapters of this book. We're going to come back and talk about the rest later.
Oh God, it's exhausting to even
I
contemplate.
know, but we have to, and I will tell you why later.
Is it
But
because the
first of
book
all,
is cursed and haunted, and now that I've started reading it, a monkey dressed like a sailor is going to show up and do this and be like, ah ha
yes.
ha? Okay.
And I have proof.
Okay.
But first, let's talk about the book. So I thought the first one was kind of cool, where they're kind of not making fun, but references the Marvel universe and all that
Yes.
stuff. That all takes place in the Marvel universe. And then you have this like giant monster who kind of looks like the Ace of Spades. Am I right? A little like
Oh,
bat,
you're
spades,
talking about
traipsing.
the giant eye with the wings?
Yeah, this
Yeah.
black eye with wings. Kind of looks like the Ace of Spades almost. You know, around the same time as Lemmy died. Just a weird coincidence, right? Just,
Wait, does this look like
weird.
the Ace of Spades? I
I
don't get
don't
that.
know.
Huh.
Hear me out. There's an end to this tunnel.
Okay, keep going.
Um, and then the President Superman leaves the country forever because we haven't finished this book yet, just like how Obama left. But back to the story. I just liked how it was like, a weird Earth, was it Earth 7, which is kind of like the Ultimate universe in Marvels.
Mm-hmm.
If you notice, they kind of bring up Ultimate a lot in it.
Mm-hmm.
And then they go to Earth 8, which is like, Stunt Master and the rest of the Marvel universe. Or as they call it, what was it they called it in the,
Yeah, it's Major Comics.
yeah, Major Comics. And um yeah, just a good alternate name for Marvel. And it's not even like making fun of Marvel. It's just, Marvel's just, or Major Comics is part of this mega universe that he's
Well,
building up here.
it's that thing where like Warren Ellis. Warren Ellis's Planetary does it too, where they're using these thinly veiled, like uh, all the Marvel heroes, or like in Planetary, the one that always sticks out. There's an issue where it's clearly John Constantine, and he turns into Spider Jerusalem at the end, but it's neither of those characters. But it clearly is, right? Because the
Yeah,
characters are like so iconic they've become archetypes, so you can easily use them without even using the name.
yeah, exactly. And they're fighting this Doctor Doom guy, just multi-universe things. But then you get into these weird, like second weird chapters, the Society of Superheroes, which is clearly a pulp
Yes,
comic universe. That one was okay. I'm not a big pulp guy.
same.
Um, just kind of fun World War II stuff going on. So I mean, I get like if that one was boring, I get it. I really enjoyed the Me universe or the Just, which
So
was
Morrison has
clearly,
said he said that's his favorite of these. If anybody doesn't know, he actually annotates these on his. It's either his Patreon or his Substack. I forget which one it is. But so you can go and if you type in Grant Morrison Multiversity annotations, I don't know you can read all of them, but I read a couple of them. And I believe he
okay.
references this. But here's the thing: his annotations are like the comic. They're dependent on you knowing what the fuck he's talking about.
Yeah, I bet.
I don't know. So even like I had forgot the annotations point out that like this character, the last of the Deep Space Monitors, the character at the very beginning, yeah, Nix Uatan or what? How Super Judge, Last of
Yeah.
the Monitors. Last of the Monitors, a lost race of godlike super beings with powers and abilities beyond all imagination. So this character was in Final Crisis. I read that
Yes.
when the hardcover came out. I couldn't tell you the first fucking. I don't remember him at all. But also, they're probably also based on things. It's like if you have a wealth of information about the whole history of DC, this is just going to be your masturbation material for decades. I feel like if you're like me and I don't
That's why
like
I
D,
love it.
like if you're like me, I don't like DC and I don't know their history, so I'm just like I don't want to read 9 books to understand what's going on in this one. If I'm going to do that, I'll read James Joyce's Ulysses. Sorry, now I
Oh
went on a
boy.
diatribe.
Yeah. Um, well, yeah, I kind of like the Just Mean one. Did you even like that at all, or
No,
no?
not at all. It annoyed the
To
living
me,
fuck. And
it was
also, it's basically Mark Millar's
Jupiter's Legacy.
yeah, it's the same
Exactly.
thing. Like so I know he's referencing that too, right?
Yes,
But
it's the future. What a world would be like, a perfect world where there's no villains and these superhero kids have nothing to do but be arrogant assholes.
yeah, they're all just like narcissistic social media cunts and I like maybe that felt a lot fresher when this was coming out. I don't know. Now I'm just like, yeah, I don't know. So social media turns people into cunts. I know.
Well, I think it's just that was like another big, what was supposed to be a big comic with a movie and all that coming out, or TV series, and just didn't, it fizzled.
What,
But I think it's the
Jupiter's
idea of,
Legacy?
yeah, when that
I
came
think
out. So I think this is supposed to be like a reference to that. It's like a different thing. Also, he's kind of done like superhero thing before in the other books with like the Japanese. Um, there's like a Japanese superhero team he created that was very egocentric,
hmm,
superstars um, that were supposed to be like gossip column superheroes. So
okay.
it's kind of him going back to that. But
Yeah, I mean,
it's
it's
yeah.
valid. I don't think he's ripping anybody off. I think he's commenting on all this stuff, and his skill is really pulling all these disparate elements into this huge tapestry, which is incredible. Like that's what I mean. I don't think this is bad. I think it's incredible, but it's just incredible on a level where I'm like, I don't care. And it's just me. So I'm not trying to sway anybody. Like I feel like legitimately like if you're listening to this and you love DC or you even like DC, I think this is well worth your time. You might have to read Seven Soldiers, Final Crisis, Earth 2, all that shit in order to get the
I
most
don't
out
know
of
if you need
this.
to do this because
Maybe,
I
maybe not.
think the guidebook in the middle is going to kind of fill you in on all the stuff that you're missing
Then
out
why
on.
put it in the fucking middle? You know what
Because
I
that's
mean?
the order it
Like,
came out.
but I could have
Also,
used that at the beginning.
I think because the literal middle of the book is the map
Yeah.
that you gotta open up, which is just incredible to look at. I can't believe how. Oh, and the carrier, the authority ships in it on the
Oh
side
yeah,
here.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, because it follows the bleed. But yeah, the this Earth map that like has Destiny, Neil Gaiman's Destiny on top of it, looking over the whole damn thing is just a beautiful piece of art that we had the poster one point in time, and I don't know what happened to it, and I wish I kept it, but I probably didn't have anywhere to put it, so I just let someone else have it.
I mean, it is interesting that this is definitely well after DC turned their back on the new 52, right? This
Well,
is the last
that's
word
the
on the new 52. I mean, literally, it's 50 fucking
that's
two.
52 is a thing they like to. That's their magic number that they like to do. You'll notice like if you watch anything DC related, the news channel's 52 on like a movie or something like that. So it's their
Yeah,
magic
but this is
number.
directly referencing all these different worlds and that like
Well,
52 Earths.
52 would be the, yeah, 52 Earths, and New 52 was the 50 Earth Zero basically,
Yeah,
or
so
Earth One. Yeah.
there's 51 because it's counting zero, right? So it's 50, it's 0 through
Uh,
51.
yeah. If you, yeah, in the guide there's only 51. Yeah.
Yeah.
And he maps out some of them, and some of them leaves blanks so that you could fill in those blanks in the future, which
Yeah.
makes sense. Uh, Not that I think this Earth even, this map doesn't even exist anymore. I'm sure it's been written out. as if it was even ever part of his universe, the DC universe, technically. But yeah, 52 verse.
It's
But
just,
yeah, I like it, man. I like this homework. I like thinking about it. I like just deep diving into something that there hasn't been a book this heavy in a long time. I feel in DC especially. And just Grant Morrison, he hasn't written anything this. Has he written anything this big, this epic?
since this, no, this is the culmination of him. I mean, like I think we talked about previously in one of the episodes where we basically sucked his dick for the whole episode, um, which I'm fine with. I love Grant Morrison, but
Yeah.
he was like on staff as their universe consultant for a while. He was really involved in the DCU for a long time, and honestly, they could have really used that to their advantage. But all of the other thing about this is like the farewell where, like you said, it's already probably written out. It's like, why go through all this work and then throw it away? It's so, but it's like making a $70 million movie and not letting anybody see it so you could write it off on your taxes.
Yeah.
I mean, DC they just suck. They just suck. I've said it the whole time we've done the show, back to before you. I mean, back to 2014 when we started it. There's stuff about DC I like, but it's very few. And as an overall, I just think it's run by a bunch of fucking idiots, and it always has been. They
Well,
just
it's
don't know
not.
what the fuck they're
I don't.
doing.
I don't think DC's run by idiots. I think Warner
Discovery and
Brothers,
Warner Brothers,
yes, is run
they're
by
corporate.
idiots. Yeah, it's corporations. It's
Mm-hmm.
it's
They're
it's
idiots when it comes to art. Sorry.
when not even art. I think when getting on a different tangent about the world, when
Yeah.
they learned they can make profit off of failure, everything fell apart. When we grew up, our parents and our generations before that, everything had to be successful. Everything had to be um, you know, you do good, you do hard work, you make it good, do all that stuff. And then there was like a 80s general attitude that you had to make the stockholders happy, and the only way to make them happy is give them a profit. And there's this somehow they figured out the Great Short,
Mm-hmm.
fucking GameStop, all that bullshit. They figured out a way to make money off of failure, and they don't have to be. It doesn't have to be. They're not thinking long term. Like, hey, we're gonna make a quality product, and this product will fucking live on for 40 years, and we will sell it for hell of it. They figured out a way to just like, well, if we take that product and then sell that thing and then do this thing, we can make money now. And that's the
Yeah.
attitude towards everything. That's the American attitude now. Bet on failure. We can make a
Eh,
profit off of failure.
you're 100% correct. And it's like a
Yeah.
corporate thing where I've read
Yeah.
about, I think it was maybe Bennigan's and like Bed Bath and Beyond. And I can't say Bed Bath and Beyond without thinking Blood Bath and Beyond, the YouTube channel. So shout out to them. But where there were like investment groups that bought these businesses specifically to dissemble and destroy them because they knew how to make
Yeah.
money off of it.
KB
That's
Toy Stores, Toys R Us. The list goes on and on and on. There's nostalgic channels on here on YouTube that will pop up that will show you all those great stores, businesses, companies that made things that just fizzled out because some company figured, hey, if I liquidate it now, I can make a lot of money. And
yeah.
then
Oh
those
God, it's
people
so
live on,
depressing.
and then we fuck, yeah, it's just the way it is. Yeah. And I think DC's kind of run, I'm not going to say it's too big to fail because it could always fail, but, there's, the music industry failed. Those people who were idiots in the first place, they had to go ruin something else, and they had to ruin DC Comics.
Yeah,
Their
you're not
jobs.
wrong.
You know?
You're not wrong.
Um,
But it is like all the work in here. Like this could have been
it's
like
could have been a thing. I think it is a thing. I think it's just it's the thing for us. It's the thing for me, the fan who loves Grant Morrison and DC Comics and all that stuff. Um, but it's not the thing for guy off the street who's reading New 52 Batman, or say someone who's reading Absolute Batman, I couldn't recommend this to anybody that didn't read Final Crisis and understood it. I couldn't read,
Right.
someone who read Seven Soldiers and got like its six story. Seven Soldiers is great because it's, so much going on in that book and the way the stories, like the sheer storytelling problems, like four separate stories that tie into a bigger story in the background that does this. Like, I can't even describe it how good it is because just the way it's written, it's
Right. Yeah.
brilliant.
I can see that, and like again, I mean, it's epic. It's fantastic, and I think
Yeah.
I first of all, I am a totally different person now than I was when this came out.
Mhm.
Number one. Number two, even like with Grant Morrison, I can't tell you that I understood Final Crisis when I read it. There's some amazing moments, right? There like just really amazing moments, but there's a lot of it that was lost to me. Seven Soldiers, I
It
feel like I understood about 75% of it, but it always kind of gave parts of it gave me pause.
Final Crisis made sense to me the day I read Rock of Ages from Justice League.
Oh, and now see, I did. This would be interesting. That I read that and I loved it. Right, I
Yeah,
loved Howard Porter's art, and I loved but
because
so
it's the
okay,
same story and it makes
so
sense 10 years later.
two things like with Rock of Ages to this, there's a good, and I haven't read it since it came out, but I want to compare them in a second. But the thing, I came at Grant Morrison through the Invisibles,
Hmm.
so the thing that excited me about the Invisibles, which is tied to nothing pre-existing, no IPs, right?
Yeah.
It's its own thing, but it investigates the world around you, and it just affected me greatly, and it led me to read all kinds of stuff and to become involved in like chaos magic, and just I mean, it blew my fucking mind. It was like, the Aldous Huxley doors of perception are open times a million. So I approached the stuff that I had fan inertia for sure. And the definition of fan inertia, this is a term I invented, as far as I know, years and years ago because of Tim Burton, where it was like I realized I've been going to see Tim Burton movies for years, and I didn't like them, but I thought that I did because I'm a Tim Burton fan. And then I realized, like, oh, no, no, I'm not. I actually stopped being a fan right about here, and everything else, I'm just like, oh, it's Tim Burton. I must like it.
Yeah.
So it's a similar thing with Grant Morrison. I mean, everything Grant Morrison does is great. Almost everything Tim Burton does is shit. So I can't say after a certain point. So I can't say it's not the same thing. But I was reading Seven Soldiers and Final Crisis, looking at this as a mystery to explore in the DC universe, and reading the annotations and like trying to understand this stuff, and wishing I had read Crisis on Infinite Earths in the '80s, which I never did, and all, but I'm no longer the person that cares about investigating the DC universe's nooks and crannies at all. So this is just 100% lost on me. But the other thing is, between Rock of Ages and this, I saw somebody once. I wish I could remember who I first saw. I don't know if they coined the term, but years ago I read somebody mention Grant Morrison uses something that they call like story compression. So when you read his stuff, there's it seems like it moves in a herky jerky fashion sometimes, right? There's
Hmm.
like, are there panels missing? How do we go from here to here? And it's because his idea is this big and the book is this big. So we have to compress it.
Yeah.
I think the idea is, even though it is essentially the same thing here that it is in Rock of Ages, it's like a meteor. It's picking up so much speed down the years to get to here. The compression involved in this is enormous. Where in Rock of Ages, it was a little bit easier to like unpack that compression. Does that make sense?
It does, but I also feel like there is compression is because, let's face it, like, we're getting a fraction, 40 pages of a universe
Yeah.
that's never existed before and has never existed since, but is kind of familiar if you read Jupiter's Legacy, kind of familiar if you read Watchmen, kind of familiar if you read pulp comics. Kind of familiar if you read Shazam. Um, I'm assuming, because I haven't gotten that far yet. But yeah, it's I I and it works for me. It's like you get enough of that universe that you know what's going on.
You
I
know
mean,
the
even
story he's telling with the Watchmen because you've read Watchmen, right? So you can just
yeah,
infer that already happened.
and not only that, like it's a Watchmen universe. Well, it's different than the Watchmen universe because it's the original characters that the Watchmen are based on.
Yes, exactly. So like
So it's
Rorschach
not the
is
exact
the
same
question.
thing, yes.
No, but it's
Um,
essentially the same thing.
but or it's a tribute to almost with the way the art focuses on the like if you notice the ring and the blood splatter that kind of does the smiley face blood
Smiley face
splatter.
thing. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
nice. That's I
yeah,
there's a lot about it that I do like. It's just it's not enough to make me enjoy reading something that is this verbose about.
yes. And then the whole story is also told in reverse, which is weird because
Yes.
Captain Adam doesn't have linear time. And yeah, it's just so it
So
took a while for me to understand what was going on, but I loved every minute, like as things clicked in my head. It was like, oh, this young kid who killed his parents is the president, or the kid who killed his dad is the president in the future, and that he orchestrated all of this to be killed in theory that Captain Adam would bring him back to life like he did the dog.
so
Um,
is this issue actually I know that the opening stuff with the assassination of the president is in reverse. But is the whole issue, can you start in the last panel and read backwards and it works? I feel like I read that at some
I
point years ago.
I think so. You could read it. I don't think it would work like reading it from panel to panel, but
But
like
page to
if you start
page?
at page um like 4 pages in, you see the kid read it. Like the last 4 pages is the first 4 pages. The
Got
next
it.
four
Got it.
pages, reading from that would be the next four. Some of it's further, some of it's not, some of it's 2 pages. Um, there's the whole middle thing. There's like three different stories going on at once. It's chaotic. It takes a while to wrap your head around while you're reading it, and once again, I'm all for it, man. Like it just like it throws me for a loop. Like, what am I reading now? Why is this guy here? Who's this girl with a gun? Oh, she gets killed, and he's investigating it, and she's having a conversation. You know what I mean? The one that's all the like 20 panels in a page, which
Yeah,
is a lot of fucking panels in a
it
page.
is. That's actually where I stopped
Yeah,
today because I just had I had a rough day at work and I was like, oh my God, fuck no, done.
yeah.
I can't do
This
this.
is not this is not for the lighthearted, man.
Yeah, and part of my extreme reaction to this is I do fear, Mike, that is it inevitable that the older I've gotten fucking lazy? You know what I mean? Like the stuff that I
Um,
liked when I 20 years ago tended to be way more verbose or complicated or whatever. And I don't won't say that I don't like that stuff now, but
there's a certain amount of like, I'm reading a lot less comics than I used to. Um, you us doing this show, you and me doing this show, has got me reading more than the last. Well, we've been doing this for a year now. In the last year, I've read more comics than I had in the last 10 years before that.
wow,
Since this
really?
comic book came out, yeah, because it's you kind of reignited the spark that was faded away due to
Oh,
either old age, just buying graphic novels and never having time to read it. Now I'm finding a little more time to read it. Um, you know, Stuff coming out like Ghost Rider coming back and me going like, yeah, I want to be nostalgic and read that again. Or stuff like this, like I have never finished this book. I want to finish this book. Um, you know, it's it's in light of the fire. I mean, and I know you were kind of like a couple weeks ago. We were talking about this that you were kind of I'm not feeling any comic books. There's nothing coming out right now for
I'm
me,
so
which is
disillusioned,
why we
man.
were doing this.
I'm so disillusioned. And it
Yeah,
feels awful.
it's
It just feels awful.
and that could contribute to it. Like you were just not like feeling this, and you gotta find like this the old things that we love, you know, and talk about it, I guess, because now nothing's that great out there anymore.
Well, and like I don't want to go that far, but for sure, like
Oh, there's stuff out there I'm enjoying right now,
right,
but
right, but
yeah,
you know, it's so,
it's not for me. You know, earlier you were talking about like, this is for someone who really loves the DC universe. There was a point in my time when I was invested in the DC universe. Like I want to know everything about these characters. I was buying these little. I'd get these. Well, I got like you can't see it, but there's like a magazine box behind me, jam packed full of these little. Oh, hold on, let me grab one real quick here. These wizard. They were putting these out. These were called Superhero Collection. It was this thing from Eagle Moss that had you get this magazine and a lead figure with the superhero. And this one was about elongated man, and it would tell you all about the elongated man's allies and enemies, and just various little stories you should read of elongated man and his history up to that point. And I loved this. This was so. Elongated man was a character I barely liked. Sue Dibney was his girlfriend. She was really cool. They got married. There was things about him I liked, but it just went deep. I didn't need to read a million old comics I'll never find just to get the thing
right.
about the character and get to know the character. And I got a little, the, the figures are over there. I'm not grabbing, but it's a little figure this big. Um, and it was just a fun collectible thing. I think they were like $15 at the time. And then New 52 came out, and then they scratched like everything that came before that didn't exist.
Right.
And it went as far as like, if you look in the back of this one, it's the New 52 version of Kid Flash. Actually, I don't think there's New Kid Flash, but there was like one that like the little figures had to be the New 52 version. And um, no, I don't have it. I remember like Wonder Girl was a character I really liked in comics. And the character was like the New 52 version of Wonder Girl almost looked like Witchblade, where the original Wonder Girl was like jeans and a tank top with Wonder Woman. And I love the jeans and a tank top Wonder Girl with the Wonder Woman logo on her shirt. But a Witchblade looking girl in a hood made no fucking sense to me at all. And as I waited and waited for the Wonder Girl figure to come out, which figure did they make? The new one, not the old one.
Oh
And
God.
I couldn't read I wanted to read all about Wonder Girl, but now I got a figure that looks stupid. You know what I mean? Like, and that wasn't like Eagle Moss, who was the maker of this company, made that decision to do that. That was DC telling them, no, you
Yeah.
have to do this new one. This is
Yeah.
what we're doing now. You have to do this. And it literally made like, and then they stopped the license, which, I get it. They're running out of characters, but it just ruined the whole thing for me. Like,
I can see
um,
that.
yeah. And what was once a fun, like every couple of weeks, I'd get this new character and I'd sit down and I'd read and learn about um, Elongated Man, or what was this one? Ooh, Ventriloquist and Scarface. Like just fun DC characters. Like I learned all about those characters, which has helped me through this a lot too.
Hmm.
Recognizing who Doc Fate is and stuff like that. But things that I would never have done before because I couldn't find the you know, I wasn't into Wikipedia at the time. And yeah, they New 52 ruined that. And the fact that they just like scratched and shucked the entire old universe out and everything I liked and had to start new so they get new readers because, for some sort of reason they thought Hawk and Dove would sell.
Sorry, I've now switched to my auxiliary beer, which is just a Sierra Nevada. It's just been a rough couple days, so I'm just
Oh, I
drinking.
get it. But yeah, I miss that stuff. And this to me still reads because it has nothing to do with New 52 and all these other universes, and each universe is tied in their own thing. this is like the last hurrah for DC Comics for me. That is like close to what originally he was doing. Because like even like Grant Morrison's run on Batman, they stopped that in the middle and had to restart it in the new universe,
Well, but they let
which
him
was
finish
so
Batman
dumb.
Incorporated, right? So that
Yeah,
was,
the things that were already done, but they had to update the costume and all that stuff, and it made no sense. Like if you're like there's an abrupt point where you're just like, well, why is Batman younger when the whole thing was about him being older? Um,
yeah.
yeah, and other things, like the grandness of Batman Incorporated and stuff like that, which kind of contradict the whole New 52 thing, but they still forced him to tie it into the New 52 universe because people would be confused.
So the 52 Earths in here are they have nothing to do. Like I know the new 52 was like 52 titles, right? But
It has to do more with the original 52 series, which was the 52 weekly series that Grant Morrison, Greg Rucka, Jeff Johns, Mark Waid all wrote together, where they brought back the 52 universes
so are these
after
those?
the crisis. Kinda, technically, yeah. Except updated and changed. So it's part of that to me. Even though that universe is technically that whole book was about um, Prime, but they brought up the fact that there was other universes, um, which is just the whole thing about Other Earth is just an excuse to write stories about different. Everything is continuity. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
If you when you get to the guide, you'll notice that some of these Earths are like, oh, this is the Elseworld story where Batman's a vampire. That's an Earth.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean,
DC New Frontiers and Earth. The Just Earth. Love that. Or the Batman animated Earth. Earth 12 is just the Batman animated TV show or universe set in the future. Gender swapped Earth. The I can't wait to get to this middle part where we have the Earths explained and really kind of dig into it because I haven't dug into it yet because I haven't gotten that far in the book. But that's the stuff that's like the stuff that I like to read. It's like, oh, here's a little example of Earth 8, which kind of helps you go back when you read it. Oh, so this is Earth 8, big baby Hulk
yeah.
smash.
Right.
I get it. It's the Marvel universe. There's a little explanation, which isn't very far off from what the story already tells you, but I understand what's going on in this
I
thing.
mean, well, there's also the thing with this that is frustrating for me, and I mean, this is again on me, where we get that Utani or whatever the fuck his name is, the super judge, last of the monitors in the first issue, and they introduce these concepts about the bleed and this haunted comic that's moving between worlds and infecting all these different worlds. And they're all reading a book that is one of the last books in this, which is the Ultra Comics book, right? And that's literally the
Hmm.
book that they're reading throughout this. But Nyx is like the main character here in the first issue, and then he's gone, and there'll be a reference here or there, but it's like I feel like I understand what he was doing, but it's that compression thing again, where it's like, yes, he is giving you these. Yeah, I mean, you're 100% correct. Like, Pax Americana works because I've read Watchmen, so I understand what's going on to a degree without it even being on the page, right? I can
Yeah,
infer, but I would have
there's
helped to have a little bit of a through line so that because it's just so far, it just seems like here's an issue that means nothing to this issue other than they keep referencing the stupid fucking haunted comic. Here's another issue, same thing. There's
yeah.
no
So we still have to get to issue 2, which is at the end, which is the bookmark issue. This is kind of reminds me of like a little bit like um, Seven Soldier storytelling. Um,
it's I that's why I think I don't
yeah,
know that I would be able to read Seven Soldiers now.
because every story ties into the whole story, but every story is also a story on its own. and this
Yeah,
is like
but
more one shots on its
by
own.
the time I get to the end, am I going to fucking remember the nuances of where we were at the beginning? It's like, and I know Seven Soldiers. This is Seven Soldiers, but blown up huge, right?
Yes.
He's like, I did it with this microcosm. Now I'm going to do it with this macrocosm. Your entire history. Um, and again, it's fucking amazing. But I just prefer the way, like he did the same thing in his Batman run in a way where he pulls in, all the Batman of Zen-Ar and fucking Batmite and all this shit, but it just works so much for me, maybe because it was a small data set because it was Batman. And I hadn't read all that
Yeah.
shit, but it was easy to pick up some of that stuff. And
Well, with that, it was just I made the Silver Age continuity, and this is why it was all a drug trip.
yeah, right.
But once
Yes.
you realize that, I was like, oh, okay. So I didn't even need to read the Silver Age to understand. Like, I know this Silver Age thing, I know this Silver Age thing, and then everything else is like, I'm just assuming that's a Silver Age story. You know what I mean?
Right.
I think he did release the Black Case book, which was a collection of everything that from the Silver Age that tied into his run, so you knew what you were talking about.
That sounds familiar.
Yeah, which was really cool. And this also tied into the fact that he had a book that kept track of all that stuff, which was the Black Case book files.
Right.
But
Well,
yeah,
I just read something in a Warren Ellis in his weekly newsletter. There was something I just read. I don't remember if it was a current one. I reread them a lot. They're very. I just love his newsletters, but he references having heard at some point that Grant Morrison has a notebook filled with ideas, like a Bible for every major character from I think it was from Sherlock Holmes or James Bond up in history. So whatever it is, no matter fiction, whatever.
I could see that.
And so if somebody says, "Hey, Grant Morrison, would you like to pitch us on, whatever, John Carter?" Sure.
Yeah,
You need some time to? No, I got it right here. It's good. I mean, but that's what he. There was like a good 20 years where that's what Grant Morrison did. You know what I mean? Like he would be brought in to do universe consultant on DC Con. Like that's fucking
yeah.
mind boggling, right? Um, but yeah,
Well, that's the fun thing
man,
about Grant Morrison is he loves comics. He
yeah,
loves these
he loves
stories.
superheroes. Did you
Yes,
ever
he
read
loves
his?
superheroes.
You ever read
I
Super Gods?
I wish I did. I have not. I should, but it's one of those things. Like I said, I don't have time to read comics. Why would I have
Yeah.
time to read a book?
Well, and also
I'll wait for the movie.
there's a Grant Morrison documentary where he talks a lot about like a lot of what's in the book. He just talks about in the documentary.
Oh, okay.
Um, I
Interesting.
I think I should I have somewhere I bought that whenever that documentary came out. I forget if that was I forget who did that, but I feel like I bought it, so I might have like a MP4 or
Okay.
something I could maybe share with you. Um, or actually, you know
I
what?
could
I think
probably.
it might be on Prime.
Yeah, I'll have to look it up then.
But he's great to listen to talk. He's absolutely fantastic to
Oh,
hear
I
him talk
bet.
about anything.
And I enjoyed reading an interview he did on Wizard years ago, where he was sitting at the bar waiting for Frank Quiley to show up because he was late, which is the joke in the thing in the is was because Frank Quiley's famous for being late comics.
Right.
Um, and that like the guy giving the interview at Wizard's like, oh my God, you're fucking Grant Morrison, holy shit. And he's like, I'm really nothing. And he turns to a girl and was like, hey, I write comics. She's like, whatever.
Fuck off.
Like, he's like, see, I'm nobody, like, just
That's funny.
not a superstar.
And he once said like why can't it's something to the effect of like why can't comic writers be rock stars? And he was 100% the closest thing that we ever
Oh,
had to a comic book
100%.
writer being a fucking rock star in the in the like 2000s. So the guy was. I mean, he was the rock star. I mean, you could argue like Alan Moore, but Alan Moore's he's not a rock star. He would be more like the the hermited rock genius, the Brian Wilson, right? But like Grant Morrison is,
Yeah,
yeah, I'm gonna be Vince Neil. I'm gonna run around in fucking pantyhose and shriek in a falsetto voice. I mean, I don't want to compare the two actually because Vince Neil sucks and Grant Morrison doesn't. So, uh,
yeah. I get what
but
you're
you
going
know what
at,
I mean.
though. Yeah,
You know what I mean.
yeah. He lived the rock star lifestyle as much as he could, while
Yeah,
at the same time writing brilliant music, or in this case, comics.
yeah.
I can't think of anyone offhand that is like that, but I'm sure, there's like 40 million rock stars out there that are brilliant
Jimmy Page.
geniuses.
There you go.
Jimmy
Close. He's
Page, there
also
you
into the
go.
occult, so there you go. It's a perfect
Yeah.
analogy.
Okay.
And I think they might both own castles, if I'm not mistaken. Why do we have to finish this book?
So, let me explain to you.
Okay.
Enter a clip of Charlie with the fucking clipboard behind
Yeah,
him
right.
or
Yeah.
something like that. But think about this, right? This is a book about a cursed comic that we were told not to read, that a curse would happen, right?
Hmm.
We both started this. You never finished this, right?
No.
I never finished this book either. It started in 2015.
Hmm. Oh, I know what
Can
you're going to
you
say. I know
think
exactly what you're going to say.
exactly? Are we in a fucking curse world?
I would explain a lot, right? It would
Doesn't
explain
explain
a
a
lot.
lot. If we finish this book, will the world reset itself to correct it? Am I not crazy on this? This
So,
book literally is telling us, like, this is cursed, this is things. They're telling you about, like, there's this multiple universe and stuff like that. Have we not felt like we've been in a different universe since 2016, since this book came out, and we haven't finished it?
oh my God. Oh my God. You just gave me chills, man. Well, you know what? I,
How
I
weird
I'm
is,
I'm gonna
like,
finish it. I'm telling you right now. So for the viewers, that I will
if
commit
we
right now.
finish it, like, look at this, look at these books again in this, like, limelight of what we've read. You have a book about fucking reality TV stars running the world. You have a book about fucking presidential assassinations and just, like, government Watchmen weird shit, and just like two universes combining and fighting each other. It, 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 are we in that cursed world?
So I will make a commitment to you and to the viewers right now. I will finish this book. I'm just going to say this right now.
Yes, we
I
have
don't
to
know
finish
that
this
it's.
book.
We may have an episode or two in between before we come back and talk about the rest of it that isn't about this because I don't like it's going to take me some time unless I really hit a stride, and I don't want to be like we can't record until then. So we might have some, but I will finish. I will finish, and it won't be like a year. Like give me like I don't know a month or something like that.
We swear
Um,
to you, people, we will fix the planet in a month.
I will try. God damn, Mike. If it's just a matter of me finishing this, oh geez, that would be
Same
fucking
here.
wonderful.
Is it like, and we haven't even gotten to the cursed book itself?
I know,
Like, will that explain everything? I don't know. This hit me today, and I was like, holy shit.
man. That's crazy. That's
Because,
you.
like, I the the world we live in right now is a weird fucking comic book world where the UFC is going to be fucking the FBI,
Yeah.
and just like, not to get like too political, but not even on that end, but it's like everything in the world has just been this weird doom spiral since 2015 when this book came out. Since I read this book, and I, like, as it hit me, like, holy shit, I never finished this. Is this why?
Oh my God,
And
are
at
we
the same time, I'm
responsible?
not jumping up and down, staying up all night to finish the book, because obviously it's probably not going to fix anything. But what if?
You never know. Well, what if, right? The famous comic book question. So I
Or
will
in the
commit to
DC
this.
universe, what?
I
What?
I
What?
will I will commit to this. I will 100% commit to this. And I mean, this is like
It's
walking into
it's
this
the
today.
It's the
I was.
least we could do for America.
It is. Walking into this today, I was thinking like, there's no way that Mike is going to convince me to fucking finish reading this book. It's just giving me a fucking headache. I'm just like, fuck. I'm gonna.
Is that
Maybe I need to.
is is that the
Maybe.
curse making us stop reading it because it wants the world to end like this?
Maybe. Maybe I
Like,
need to. I need to start smoking pot again on a like not just like a hit off the vape pen at night to be sure I fall asleep and stay asleep, but like I need to be like putting on Godspeed You Black Emperor and laying in a fucking dimly lit room reading this. Maybe that will help. Um,
like, just it really put a different spin on a cursed comic, doesn't it?
God, that's it, man. That's wow. That's fucking crazy.
Like now we're part of the story. And how
Well,
fucked
which is
up
the
is
whole
that?
dude. I'll send
Which is the
you.
point?
I'll put the annotations in the show notes. But literally, in the annotations I was reading for the first two issues, he's talking about the fact that the whole thing is like you're part of the story. Like he's literally
Yeah.
talking about that. Like that's the whole concept. And I was like, yeah, I get it. I'm like, I don't know that it 100% carries through, but now you're making me think like, oh, maybe it really did.
So
Oh,
there's a part of me who wants to recommend this book to the world, but there's also a part of me it's like, if you're going to read it, finish it.
yeah. How about it? See what happens. Imagine we
I know.
finish reading this and like you wake up and you hear like Elon Musk was raped to death by a giant pterodactyl, cyborg pterodactyl. I'd be like, I'll read it again 4 times.
I mean, if Elon Musk isn't fucking Lex Luthor, do you know what I mean? Like
Oh
his hair
God,
falls off and he's bald. You're just like, holy shit, it's Lex Luthor this whole time.
Jesus fucking Christ! See, this is I man, I'm telling you. So 2012. I'll never forget this. I don't know that I ever talked about this on the show before, but 2012 was a year that broke me. It broke me. And the one of the main things was the bath salts naked guy eating the other guy's face. You remember this?
Oh, bath salt zombies.
This dude, some cop in Florida comes up and it's like an embankment or underpass or something, and there's a fucking naked guy eating another guy's face
Yes,
off
I
of his
remember
body.
you
Like,
having problems with that.
and the cop stopped and like stop, gets out, pulls his gun, stop, blah 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 blah. The guy doesn't. The bath salt zombie doesn't respond. He shoots him once, like in the arm or something like that. Doesn't affect him. He shoots him in the fucking head and kills him. And I realized when I read about this, and I read like everything I could find about it. That cop, I never saw him say this, but I guarantee it because this is right when Walking Dead became a huge thing, right?
Yeah,
So you're a cop. Zombies are a pop culture phenomenon. And what's everybody know about zombies? You shoot them in the forehead to kill them, right? This cop
yeah.
sees this naked guy eating this other guy's face. He shoots him once in a non critical area that doesn't respond. And he thinks, holy fuck, it's a fucking zombie. And he pops him in the forehead and kills him. That, whether or not that is fiction taking over our reality. Whether or not the guy, I'm not saying he was an undead zombie, but in that moment, in that interaction, for that
That
cop,
was
the world was now based on fiction. And that, I think, since that has happened, and there's probably other incidents, then this is like, man, it's
I
like,
remember you being we had a conversation about
oh,
this years ago. We were walking to the beach or something when I was visiting you in California, and you were really worried about it. And I turned to you and I was like, why? The government will fix everything. And I remember being like, I had this convincing argument, and it was along the lines of like World War Z. I was like, it would be like the movie World War Z, where everyone would just, there would be a problem, but then the government would come and fix it. And I had total faith, and I still do at that time, free reading this book,
oh my
that
God.
the government could handle that. I have since now know that we are doomed if that bath salt zombie comes back,
Oh my God.
and
Uh,
somehow that bath salt zombie would be charge of the EPA
Yeah,
because
right. Yeah, basically. I've appointed this
um
I've appointed this
yeah,
naked face eating zombie as my head of the EPA. That's
but
hey, that's totally on brand for the orange.
yeah, but like if you would have told me this, like just I remember that conversation you had, and you still I couldn't convince you, but I kind of did a little bit. Like, oh yeah, maybe the government would fix you. You were kind of like, no, but well, I think it was a glimmer in your eyes. Like, yeah, he's probably right. But now, no. But I do
Oh,
remember that story, and I always often think of that like every time I have that like award-winning convincing you that the world will be fine because the government would save us from zombies. That like ever since 2016, I was like, well, I can't have that Artie Sean
yeah.
anymore.
Oh man. Yeah, at some point, I'm pretty sure you have not read it. What we should read. And this would be like this is a book I'm extremely passionate about, but I just feel like it trickles out because it's 6 issues come out and then it disappears. Um, Department of Truth.
I if we fix the world with this,
Dude,
I will read Department of Truth. I
it's it,
cannot read a conspiracy theory thing because I am so sick of the way the world. I might be fine now, but before when that book came out, I was just so fucking enraged by the news and Q and just the amount of dumbness that is like this book is. I know not related to, but in its own way,
no,
kind of
I
is.
get it, but dude, it is the closest thing we have to like Vertigo Grant Morrison. Like, there's so many times when I'm like, oh my God, this is so Grant Morrison's baby. Not to take anything away from James Tinney in the fourth, like, he's
Yeah,
amazing, but he's just like the next guy doing it, and there is nobody else doing it. Like, there's nobody else doing, and it's not just like he's rehashing Vertigo, not at all, but it is exactly like, like,
there's a certain Vertigo vibe that you would get in the '90s of books that were like creator
yeah,
owned
and it just,
and
man, it
Grant
has,
Morrison
and
was cranking out these weird things, and Grant Garth Ennis was cranking out these weird things, and Transmetropolitan, Warren Ellis, everyone had these like things that hit, and there was things that missed, or just didn't grab an audience and had to end too soon.
yeah,
But yeah, I haven't seen anything and maybe it'd be like the pre-justice because it isn't a Vertigo title, and that like I read it from another book. It's like it just doesn't feel like a Vertigo title because it doesn't say Vertigo on it.
hmm
But yeah, there's things out there that's like I get like, and there's things that I see like, oh, that would have been a Vertigo book if the Vertigo imprint still existed.
yeah. Right. There's been a
Um,
lot of stuff like that over the years. Like,
yeah,
immediately springs to mind. Remember, I don't remember who published it. It's definitely not DC. Punk's Not Dead, the one where Sid Vicious's ghost is like, he's like a character. It's like him, this teenager, and Sid Vicious's ghost are like on a road trip to save the world or something.
huh.
Like, that struck me as particularly, like, oh my God, this is totally, what Vertigo was doing. That's a
Well,
great book, actually.
I think at some point like Saga would have been a Vertigo book.
Yeah,
Something Killing the Children might have been a Vertigo book. Um, but that thing doesn't exist anymore.
yeah, right.
I
But
understand
there
they're bringing
are,
it back, but I don't
but
think
I,
it's going to even be remotely the same.
well, and it's not. And like something killing children. I fucking love that. I love that book. But again, it's like the way that Tinian stuff comes out. Like with Department of Truth, I read the first four trades. That's how I got into it. Then I started buying it monthly when it came back, like a couple months ago, and I very quickly realized I cannot read this month to month. I just cannot. So I canceled my pull on it, and I just pre-ordered the fifth trade that just came out like 2 weeks ago, and I read it, and I think it just came. But like, there's always these lulls with his books, so it makes it a little bit harder to like feel like it's getting me out of bed in the morning every, you know what I mean? Like, because it's not
Hmm.
consistent. Something is killing the children comes out for a couple months and then it goes away for a while and then it'll come back out, and so they're great, but it just I miss
Yeah,
having that like
that's
clockwork.
been the trend where it's very much an image thing, I think. And it's creator
Yes.
owned and it makes sense because they need time
Yeah.
to like
Well,
do
I
their other
mean, to
things or
write other
whatever.
books, right?
Yeah.
Tinian writes everything. I mean, he writes like
Yeah.
9 books, so
Yeah, that's how he makes money, not like a lot of
exactly.
money, just, enough money where, at DC he would have probably made more money so he could not do 30 books and his
Yeah.
passion project. But yeah, they take the break off so the writer can do other things and then the artist can get caught up
Yeah.
and it's usually like 2 or 3 months and then it comes back and it loses a little steam
It
middle.
does.
Yeah.
I mean, and maybe that's just with me, but I mean, it's like I love going to the comic shop every fucking Wednesday. I have for my, I mean,
Mhm.
30 fucking years. So,
So have
I mean,
I.
when there's weeks like this week, I think it's Batman Full Moon number whatever, and uh, maybe Nice House by the Sea, which is Tinian book. But I mean, it's just I don't know. It's just not a lot. I just miss having that.
Yeah.
Man, I just miss having it. I just miss so much. So okay, I don't know. Let me stop my morose fucking blatherings. And
Yeah, we gotta wrap this up
so
and at the same time save the world
yes,
when we
exactly.
have
So
time.
I have committed. We will be back to do the rest of this. Like I said, there may be an episode or two in between where we'll talk about something differently. Daredevil Born Again starts tomorrow. We're recording this on the 3rd. I'm so fucking
Ooh,
pumped. I have not been
yeah.
excited about anything Marvel's done at all in years.
I'm excited about. Oh, have you to get a sidetrack real quick? Spider-Man, the new Spider-Man cartoon, Chef's Kiss.
I had no idea there was one. What's is it on Disney?
It's it's on Disney. It is set in the Marvel movie universe,
What's it?
but
What's?
something has Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man.
I'll check it out.
Um, the artwork is like Steve Ditko panels come to life.
Oh wow.
So there's
Oh,
a
I'm
lot
in.
of that going on. But it is, and it took me a while. It took someone on YouTube, I think, explained it to me. That it's set in the Marvel universe, but things change. Something it's like a what if story. So it doesn't tie into it.
Okay.
But like so instead of um, spoiler alert, Norman Osborn becomes his main guy, not Tony Stark.
Okay. All right.
And something happens in the beginning that changes. Like he doesn't go to the school he goes to a different school because of something.
Okay.
And that's like you'll see at the very beginning, like, oh, okay, this is what happened that prevented him from going to the fancy school he goes to, which leads to him joining the Avengers and blah 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 blah. But the neat thing about it is all the stuff in the movie universe is playing out in the background, which makes me wonder in like season 2 or 3, does the snap happen and does he disappear?
Oh.
Because the Sokovia things, the Marvel universe is playing out in the like on the TV screens in the background. So clearly, and if you remember, he disappears for like 3 years or 4 years,
Yeah.
which would make for an interesting to me, that was like everything they've done since Infinite War that ties into like them explaining the snap or someone surviving the snap or stuff like I found very interesting. Not like super compelling, great TV, but interesting enough
Interesting.
to like
Yeah.
my ear would turn up and say, "Oh, so how do these people survive?" Or like in that Spider-Man movie, like where they just show a clip of everyone just like popping back in the middle of a game as
Right.
if
Right.
nothing happened was just like, well, that's fascinating. But they never really explored it as much as they could because
Okay.
it's boring TV and I like boring TV sometimes.
Okay.
But yeah, it's good. Check it out. The series is done. There's like 10, 12 episodes, I think.
Okay.
Great cast, voice cast. Very, like I said, you'll see it. It's very much the Melissa Tomei, Aunt May stuff. And the season finale had some really good, interesting, like what's going to come next.
Okay.
So yeah, if you people haven't seen it, check it out. Sean, check it out. I think
I'm
you'll dig
sold.
it. Yeah, especially with the
Cool.
Steve Ditko artwork, it's really great.
That sounds amazing.
Yeah. Or friendly.
Or friendly. Nice. Or spectacular. Or
Yeah.
web. Well, okay. Well,
Web
okay.
of
So
friend.
I'll report back on that to you. But until then, and until we save the world,
Yes.
I'm
And
Sean.
anyone out there in the world who has not finished this book, please do so.
Let's all finish it. Let's all finish it.
That's how I'll bring back the world together.
Yes. Hi, I'm Sean. Join me and my friends every week for the Horror Vision, where we talk about horror movies.